Akashi, a
Hey, wait.
Shiki. I'm like, it's some kind of
It's like,
Japanese
hey,
name.
wait, this wasn't on the list of stuff we're talking about.
Yeah, yeah. But they did the port for this, and I'm not sure how that came about. Maybe it was just the fact that they had experience with trying to get a PSVR 2 game optimized. uh, and so it made them a good choice, but they did a solid job, like, getting this ported over, so I guess enough of that. I mean, I was also playing outside of that. I guess I had a review up. You guys might have seen it. I did Iron Guard, which was on Quest and PC. I had a lot more fun with that than I thought I would. It's pretty much just a tower defense game, but it's a really good tower defense game.
Good, good.
That's all
Just
I've been
so,
playing,
Yeah.
I think, VR wise. That's what I've been
Jason,
playing.
play anything exciting?
I've been doing a lot of testing lately, to be honest with you, and then doing a lot more in the social apps. There's been a lot of like music and visual events and stuff like that that have been occupying me. Plus, I love going and seeing where people's minds go when they're creating stuff. So
Well,
I've been all over.
yeah,
I've been all over.
tell Ryan and those watching what it was that you were part of recently. Is you were saying that you were like involved in like a VR rave.
Oh yeah, there was like a 4 day kind of like hard bass rave that was going on with what was it? It was 10 DJs a night, 6 hours each night. So like 40 DJs in total in there. This was Thrill Seeker's event that he was doing there
Oh,
in
cool.
VR chat. So one was like first 2 days are at one particular area. But it was really neat because I mean the DJs were there, some were being projected in from the outside on video, and then they had, all their visuals going along with the music and
Ryan, they had
yeah,
pole dancers.
craziness. Yeah,
Pole
they had
dancers
full
with full motion tracking.
yeah, it was pretty insane.
Nice.
Like it's
What you don't know is it's like 400-pound dudes that are just like, yeah, uh.
well, you never know, right?
You
That's
never
that's the
know.
that's the mystery of VR, right? That's the some of them will be, yeah. Some of them, of course, will be guys and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, it's really impressive. I mean, to see like just how they're moving around. So I mean, the DJs were there, and then they had like a dancer on each side, basically, just doing movements the whole time, and then it varied per dancer on what they were doing. But yeah, there's
That's
a lot
cool.
of crazy avatars, very
Awesome.
intense kind of place. But yeah, things are really picking up in those areas, and there's a lot of fun stuff to go to.
That
I
is
know,
great. That is the craziness. I think
yeah,
that is where VR is, I think, at its most extreme right now. I would say where it's pushing the boundaries is when it comes to the social stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I agree with that.
yeah.
That's why I
Speaking
hang out
of,
there.
I didn't see anything mentioned for. I hope hopefully later, but I didn't see anything mentioned on that PSVR 2 lineup with Rec Room, VR Chat,
I know.
anything like that. That's
Well,
getting me
then
a
let's
little
get
worried.
into it, Jason. Oh my God, here we go, Mr. Segway. That's right, guys. Obviously, today we are talking about PSVR 2 launch. All the big news that happened. Was it yesterday? Was it just yesterday? It already feels like it's already been like days ago. But obviously, we got a launch price, which is, man, the most yay nay conversation you can have out there. We got a whole bunch of potential launch games. I think a lot of them are actually our launch games. We'll talk about that in a second. But more importantly, we also got a date of February 21st, 2023. I think that's right, off the top of my head. And that's like 3 months away. We are 3 months away from PSVR 2, and it is so exciting and so crazy. And now we have all this new stuff, and everyone's divided. Everyone either hates it or loves it or doesn't think it's enough or thinks it's just fine. So I'm not sure who to shoot this to.
Let's break this
there you
down.
go.
Let's
Either
break this
person.
down. Let's break this down.
I guess it's going.
Try to keep the conversation. Try to keep the conversation a little bit more on track. Let's talk
I was on
release.
track.
Let's talk release date. Let's talk pricing, and then let's talk games.
For sure.
Yeah.
Games and I guess what we think of how the current launch plans and Sony's messaging. We could wrap that up into one thing there.
The launch, I think, came
Sure.
sooner than people expected. I think everyone and their dog who didn't know thought March. The reason why I say this is Alvo had put a tweet out there that was basically like, "Oh shit, February, a little bit sooner than we thought, but we'll try to get our PS5 version ready by then." So I think, I think a lot of people were in the dark about this, and I think everyone just assumed March. And February, obviously, we get it, a month earlier. I mean, really, it's like 2 weeks earlier, less than that, technically. But good. I mean, the sooner the better, in my personal opinion. And make it January, make it December. I don't care. Just give
No.
me the goddamn.
Well,
Yeah.
Jay, you go ahead and I'll come in.
Well,
behind
yeah. I
you.
mean, I expected a February release just because they got to play in the game now, right? You push it too far, then other headsets are going to come out and they're going to lose out in this advancement of all the stuff that's coming out right now. In my opinion, the price point. Yeah.
Nope, we're not
Maybe.
talking price yet.
Oh, okay.
No.
Sorry.
Because we're
I'm
gonna
getting
go
off
off the
track.
rails. We
Okay.
jump into pricing. We're going off the rails.
Okay, so direct me again on where to go there. So
Date. We're just talking release date right now.
okay, release date. Yeah, that's what I was expecting. I was expecting to hear the announcement for it like mid-November. So they kind of pushed a little ahead of what I expected there. Do we want to go further on?
I would agree with you that I would
Mhm.
say that that's a good point you bring up. The announcement of the release date came quicker than I thought it was going to be honest with you. I really didn't know how they were going to rock with that. I would say that the February release date surprises me, and I'm not really that happy about it. I think that February is a weird time to release. Like, no one releases a console or anything in February, and there's a reason for that. But I have a feeling that there is a reason why Sony is doing that. January, February in the marketing world is considered like you don't go there. Like, it's everything. It's where movies go to die. It's where games go to die. For the most part, it's not everyone's broke. Everyone's recovering from Christmas. And so
Right.
you don't really see a lot of like just there's not a lot of money to be made in those months. I think Sony might be launching it at the end of February to slightly stifle um demand as much as they possibly can a little bit. I can't think of any good reason why they would come out in February other
I
than the
can.
fact.
I got one more.
Okay,
Supply.
that's what I mean. That's what I mean. I think they're
Well,
trying
you
to
guys are
kind
in
of like.
agreement.
That's what I'm saying. I agree. You agree with me? Is that I think that Sony's kind of coming out in a month where some people are just be like, "Yo, man, I'm tapped out right now," and so it's almost like a soft launch.
Yeah, I think they're catering very much to hardcores. I mean, to me, it's still like the majority of people that are going to buy this headset are people that are obviously own a PS5 and who more than likely owned a PSVR 1. Going outside of that, I think is going to be, it's a harder sell. No one's going to, especially if you weren't invested in VR before, or maybe just have a Quest, you're going to go and drop over, like for us, it's like $3,000 for, no, it's not that much, but for a PS5 and PSVR 2, that's over, you look $1,100 US or, right around that. That's with one game. So that's a huge ask for someone who maybe is still questioning VR. So no, I think the launch right now is focused entirely upon veteran PSVR and PS5 owners, honestly.
And they want to get, and you're right, and they want more people. Like, they're aware, obviously, of the big complaint of being, people are like, "Nah, people don't have PS5s and they're trying to get a PSVR 2." Personally, and the reason I say like, "Duh," is because I believe that anybody who really wanted a PS5 has been you're able to get a
Yeah,
PS5. You're still waiting for
pretty
the days
much.
where you can just walk into a store and buy one. That's a pretty casual gamer. I hate to say it, but um and I mean, and obviously because of supply issues, Sony has been bringing out all of their exclusives still with PS4 accessibility, like, in the fact that, like, there's multiple versions available, right? Words are failing me, but the fact is that Sony hasn't made it super compelling yet to have to have a PS5. It's not like you can't play a lot. There's only been a handful of exclusives to the PS5, like, say, like Ratchet and Clank and Returnal and such. But
Oh yeah.
I'm
What's
just
happened
saying.
here? Oh, sorry. I didn't know. I thought you were.
I'm done.
I thought you were segueing there.
No.
Well, I mean, for the price point there, if you look at it technically, it's a gaming computer. About a
Yep.
$1,500 gaming computer for $400 or $500, right? For the PS5. You are correct. It is easier to get them under supply right now. But if you really want into high-end VR, this is going to be the cheapest way to do it.
Oh,
But then
yeah.
it's going to matter where we'll get into, I'm sure, after this is what games and what
Yeah, I was
apps
gonna
are going to
say,
be there.
I was exactly. I was gonna say exactly. We'll just take Jason's comment there, and we'll just put that up on the bulletin board next to games, because
Yeah.
that's the next thing. But I agree with you 100%. It's the cheapest PC VR gaming outlet that you're going to have if the games are there, right? As far as like that level of quality.
Well, plus the haptics, right? The haptics are going to make a big difference. The immersion level with the haptics there on the headset, on the controllers, that alone. And then if they're doing the Pulse 3D sound, which they can do like 5,000 sounds at once with that thing, basically, spaced. I mean, I know you've played games on the 5 where you use that. It's amazing. You can hear everything. I mean, I was playing. I was just telling somebody the other day. I was playing Grand Theft Auto on there, and I was in a car, and people were shooting at me with different caliber guns, and I could hear like the size of the. I can hear like how big of the bullet was being shot at me through the gun. I could hear exactly where it hit on the car. I can hear if it hit the tire, which tire was like releasing out. It was amazing, and if that's what's coming into the PSVR 2 stuff here, yeah, I mean, I have very high hopes, but yeah, again, we'll get into it.
We're dodging around the next topic here.
Yeah,
we're dodging around the next topic of launch titles, and I think that's exactly that's what we're talking about. No, we're done with price. We talked about price. I mean, okay, I don't know. Price. Okay, so price. We're talking about price now.
Well, we were talking about I mean, I think we're done with release date. I still.
Okay, good. Shut up, Chris. I'm done.
I think it's a weird date. I
think it's a weird date too. Like February is
why
weird.
They're doing it. I do think that there are going to be a lot of people, even some hardcores, that are like, man, I'm tapped out.
I think if it was December, January, February, or March, it wouldn't change sales one iota.
But most
their sales.
But let's be honest, most of your hardcores are going to try to get a pre-order.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying it doesn't matter if this was released December 26th, it wouldn't have changed sales one bit. But the hardcores are going to get it.
Do you remember, Ryan? We had conversations going back a while back where I had said to you, they need to like start showing some big titles and drop the release date and a price before Christmas to grab that Christmas money. And you're like, no.
Yeah, but they're not gonna no one's.
That's what they're going after, that Christmas money, man.
Not Christmas money though, because because they're not. This is all done in a blog post. Let's just calm down with the Christmas money, okay? They're not targeting the average person yet. They're letting all the VR outlets do the legwork for them because they are not pushing this thing yet. They will not push it until after Christmas. We might see something. I'd be shocked to see a state of play before Christmas, only because. One, the non-VR market is just so to VR that they're gunshot. We talked about that 1,000 times before, but it's not like PS5 is still God of War is going to be there. They're like, this is why you had a PS5, God of War Ragnarok, blah, blah, blah. And after Christmas is when we'll see a huge push for VR, a huge one, but not, I think I'll be shocked if we get anything too much more before Christmas in regards to.
No, I agree. I mean, I'm just saying that for the VR fans out there, I think that there is definitely, getting out around this time for Christmas. It is definitely still it's putting a shot across the bow of like, if you're still if you're thinking of, if you're a PSVR guy and you're finally going, man, I can't wait any longer. I got to get a Quest. It's like, no, maybe wait. I mean,
but that's not who they're targeting. It's PS5 is what they're going after. Like, they don't give a shit about the Quest users. They don't care about the Quest users. It's PS, dude.
No, but you're missing my point. I'm saying they're talking to the PSVR owners that are going like this Christmas, going, I can't wait for new VR. I'm getting a Quest 2, and it's going, no, just hold on. It's coming. There's definitely some of that. If you pay attention to what the Game Cats and like your PSVR community is saying. There's still quite a few people out there that are desperately holding back from buying a Quest, and they've waited a long time. And for Sony to just finally, give them a little bit of like something to hold on to. Like, here's the price, here's the date, here's some more games. It's like, it is definitely going to put some people's wallets back in their pocket. And they need that. That. They're already a year behind, really. Like we were talking about release date. Really, if there was no COVID, we'd probably have a PSVR 2.
I yes and no. I understand where you're coming from in that point as well. But if that were true, we'd have the craziest launch lineup in the history of gaming with the PSVR 2.
Well, but it affected everybody, though.
COVID
affected studios.
I get it. But
everybody's behind.
I get it. I'm still saying with a year delay, there's still not everything was pushed back 365 days. Like some guys, some
No,
studios lost a month or two.
but I think a
there's
lot of studios, especially smaller studios who were trying to prioritize where to put manpower, everything just got delayed. It just
Get it.
became a second priority, Like if you're Demio, it's like, well, let's get this PC version out then.
Oh, okay, well, whatever.
Yeah.
My one final point on the price point is the fact that PS5 plus PSVR 2 is still cheaper than Quest Pro.
Yeah.
Yeah. True.
So,
So
for
so
those
we're
that are,
segueing to price, I guess.
yeah, we got to get out of this. We're stuck in this loop here.
Yeah. Price wise, I was expecting 5 to be competitive. 550 is still in a decent range, but yeah, I mean, like you were just talking about, they should have dropped a killer reel and secured people's money before Christmas right now. Because
Blog post.
now people are going to go for the 2, right? They're going to go for the 2 because it's cheaper right now, and they know a lot of people are using it. So
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
Sony, like it's tough because I know they got to be coming with the goods. They're Sony. I mean, they always do, right? But like this was from my end. This was kind of a letdown release. I expected like, give me a good reel, and then shoot me the release date and the price right after that.
And I just think we're not there yet.
And you secure me. I mean,
Okay.
like
yeah.
I like a lot of. I mean, I like a lot of the games that are there for the lineup, but they're just
Did we
not
mention the
lineup
price here,
material.
though? For those who don't know, it's $549.99 US, and that is just the PSVR 2, no game. Although I would imagine they're going to pack in some kind of a demo disc or a PSVR Worlds. I'll be shocked if they don't. And then the PSVR 2 Horizon Call of the Mountain bundle is $599.99, so $600 US. There's also a charging dock that's $50, and that's for the controllers, which looks slick.
Yeah, otherwise you got to charge them both via USB cables, which is just going to be
Well, that also tells us
cumbersome.
something. I don't know if this was
Yeah, Horizon's $50 then, right? Is that where you're going?
So like hang on, I want to go back to that because Ryan and I were talking about that. But was it known that the controllers were built-in battery rechargeables?
Yes, I believe so.
I don't think I actually knew that. So
I could be making that up, but
whatever.
No, I think they told us that when they talked about them originally.
I think that's
it's just
good.
been a while. Yeah.
I mean, hopefully, that's why I'm glad that they have charging docks.
Just for our Canadian listeners, just to cut off Chris here. So PSVR 2 by itself is $750 Canadian, $820 for the Horizon bundle, and $65 for the charging stand.
Oh, yeah, that is so rough, guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I should find the Aussie prices. What was it? Like $1,000? The Aussie price was insane. Everyone was like, God damn, because those are the prices that leaked first.
Was the Quest Pro like $2,500? $3,000? I wouldn't want to see the price on that, man. I guess be glad you're not buying both the 5 and the PSVR 2 at the same time.
Well, I mean, that's one thing. I mean, just aside the Pro, I'm so glad the Pro was just not built for gamers because as much as I wanted one, it was just so clearly just like, I can totally justify not getting it, especially with them saying Quest 2's around the corner. Off topic, I just want to say, I'm so glad they just made that not really enticing to me whatsoever.
I was still enticed, but yeah.
So was I, but not to a point where I want to drop $1,500 for that. Well, anyways,
spec wise, if you want to get into it, I mean, the PSVR 2, we were talking about this before we went live here, resolution wise, just to revisit that. As we were talking about, like, what you're getting. So the Quest Pro is 1800 by 1920 per eye. The PSVR 2 is 2000 by 2040. So it's a nice step up from the Quest Pro. It's obviously higher than the Quest 2. I used to own an HP Reverb G2, very nice display. It was 2160 by 2160. So that was a little bit higher than the PSVR 2. So the PSVR 2 is not it's not top tier resolution wise, but it's definitely up there. It's way higher than an Index.
Well, if you get into the foveated rendering part of it too, they can up that, and they can up the resolution.
They don't
at least what you're looking at.
They don't. Yeah, it's the thing. They don't really need to up the overall resolution. But the fact is just because a headset says it has per eye resolution. I mean, you can say whatever you want about the resolution on a Quest 2, but when 2/3 of your screen are like half the resolution because of fixed foveated rendering that they've got going on there. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to compare apples and apples, right? And you're not often when you're considering like what had to be done to make it work. Side note, I will say Iron Man did a really good job of avoiding any real noticeable foveated rendering. You had to look right into the corners on the Quest 2 to see anything being done on that. So nice job there. But I digress.
Back to price. So where, I mean, listen, when me and Chris were talking about this last week, it's funny how I remember things differently, but I ended up coming in low. I think I said 500 was the max it possibly could be. I still thought it would be around. I thought 450 would be just a more competitive pricing. Whereas Chris, basically, I think Chris was floating around 5 and up. So I guess he was right. I'm gonna have to verify that by watching the last episode. But for now, I guess Chris was right. For myself, the 550, it's high. I mean, it's high, but I honestly, I paid damn near the exact same thing for the PSVR 1 when I bought it day one, 6 years ago. So as much as as much as I was like, damn, it's pricier than I want it to be, it wasn't like I was like, oh my god, like, it wasn't like the Quest Pro rumors of $800 and then being blown away by double that. It wasn't like anything close to that kind of thing. So as much as I'm like, god damn it, that's, for myself to get, the headset, the bundle, which I'm obviously going to get, and the charging stand, I'm looking at $900 plus tax in Canada, which is, it's a big chunk of change, man. But at the same time, as a VR enthusiast and a guy who like only games in VR, I've been waiting for this and expecting this and saving my pennies for the last like 2 years. Like, honestly, if you haven't been saving, if you knew this was coming for 2 years as a PSVR 1 owner, and we're just like, I'm gonna wait and see what the price is, like, that's too expensive. If you just saved $1 a day since you've been waiting for this damn headset, you'd be laughing right now. Laughing. That's all I'm saying.
We're gonna have to sneak one over the border for you, buddy. That's what we're gonna have to do. Save you some cash.
I'll take it.
Both of you guys.
Yeah, we're gonna get Jay on a couple of PSVRs and on a train. Just jump on a train and cross the border.
Let's see them snap me.
So, I mean, somebody posted on Twitter here, and I thought it was so he said I'm sure this is US pricing. So a PSVR full kit, so camera and controllers, in 2016 was in 2022 money is $618 US versus the PSVR 2 at $550.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And both of those would be then without games, right? So that's pretty similar. So the PSVR 2 is less expensive.
Technically.
But it is.
Yeah, no, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just, for sure.
I remember when the PSVR was announced and the price, I didn't even blink. I was like, I don't care. I have to have it.
Same.
Gotta have it.
Yep.
I'm like, oh my god, I waited my whole life for this. Oh my god, console VR, fuck yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this one, yes, they probably wanted to go at 5, but if you think about how much they had to wait and how much hardware probably costs.
Yeah,
the fact when things weren't being produced, and then, like I said, inflation and stuff like that too, it's gonna hit the economy with all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, when Facebook did increase that price on the Quest 2 headset, to me it was like, god damn it. If Facebook, who's been undercutting on their headset for the longest time, has to increase the price of their headset because they can't afford to do that anymore, it doesn't bode well for Sony being able to come in cheaper just because of that. So you're not wrong there at all, Jason.
So
it's another thing with Zuck. We could go on a whole nother tangent with that.
Well,
another half an hour story.
I was actually just going to say that I think that one of the biggest problems that has happened in this industry is, I'm not saying it's not.
Stay on target. Stay on target.
I am. I'm actually right on topic. Is that the Quest came out too cheap? Meta's pricing, they've been very open about the fact that it was highly subsidized. Like they were taking a loss on those headsets. They've obviously just raised the price. And as much as I was like, that's an odd move that time, that late in the lifespan, part of me was kind of like, thank God. Because it's like and I know, obviously I'm just like everyone else. I'm like, I don't want to spend more for this stuff. I like cheap shit. I like the fact that they were like aggressively pricing it to get it in adoption into people's hands, but it also starts to like set a precedent. Like, people are already fairly entitled when it comes to tech and like I should have this and it should be cheaper because I say
Iron Man.
so.
Iron Man VR for Quest. It's a 2-year-old game. It should only be $20. Yes.
Yeah,
You know,
nobody took the time to work on it or anything, right?
No, they just hit
yeah,
they just hit the
like-
port button. It was just
Yeah.
hit the port button
Right,
They
and
just-
we're
probably
you
done.
didn't
gotta-
have to rebuild.
You just
they probably
gotta
didn't have
change
to
the
rebuild
controls.
Iron Man from the ground up. I should just have it.
Yeah.
It should just be mine.
Why isn't this free? Yes.
And like I feel like there's an entitlement and an expectation things. I think that cell phone pricing has also probably fucked people a little bit because they're used to like getting a cell phone for free because of their plans, and they don't realize that if they had to like buy that cell phone, it would be like $1,500 probably easy.
Well, I wonder if Amazon will have like, because most of these places, we're talking about this price of like, $800 or whatever for like getting the whole bundle.
And
A lot of these places will offer 12-month payment plans. So, like, it's $600 right now. Yeah, sure. But I mean, now it's only $50 a month for the next year, and a lot of places will offer that stuff. So as much as it might be expensive in some people's eyes, it's still, you can make it affordable.
I've said this from the beginning. I've made this argument that I think that like Sony should maybe do something where they like offer some kind of a purchase plan where they're trying to push a peripheral onto people that own consoles. Do something where they buy their PS Plus membership and it's a PSVR Plus membership and they pay like $40 a month and it's their Plus membership plus
Ooh,
they're paying for their headset. And they
I
pay
like
for
that.
and they pay that for like a 2-year plan or whatever that might be, maybe they put a down payment down so that it's not everything. But I've always thought that some kind of a plan would be and at the end of that, say 2 or 3 year plan, it's like then they'd be like, hey, you want to re-up and get a PSVR 2 Pro? Like, it's like if you're gonna be pushing this in the way that tech is constantly upgrading, I just think that a cell phone plan model might be a way to get people to jump in without that sticker shock. Because I feel like for people that are just like, it's too expensive. It's not. Like not
No,
comparatively.
not for the tech. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I just had a buddy, and this is Canada, but he went out and bought the HTC Vive Pro 2. And he spent like $1,800 on it.
Must be nice to have rich friends.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
No, but I mean, like, like it's
Yeah.
that's not a cheap headset, and the resolution on that is probably pretty close to like the specs as far as headsets go.
Oh yeah, you start talking about like the Vario headsets, those $5,000 premium headsets that like just like none of us even get to see like the light of day because they're just like that premium. Like when you understand like how much tech is going here, and you realize, like I said, Jason mentioned the foveated rendering and just how much stuff is going on with the eye tracking and all that stuff. Like this is the most advanced headset out there. At least it will be. I mean, I have or at least like commercially available. Not to say it is, but for the options that's packing into this headset for this price, you cannot get a better deal. You just can't.
No, and I
period.
would say it skews more to the high end side than it does to the lower end side. Like if you look at it, when the PSVR launched, and not to take anything away from it, because the PSVR to me was a dream come true. But when you felt, it was like, okay, this is a bit of a toy. Like there was a bit of a feel of cheapness to it, a little bit. And when it came out, I mean, it was tech-wise pretty low, even to the headsets that were out there. Although it did have nice lenses, even though the resolution wasn't there. But like it was, it just controller-wise, tracking-wise, resolution-wise, it was pretty much bottom of the list of most of the headsets. It obviously it had the refresh rates, it had a decent field of view comparatively, but for the most part, it was lower end. Right out of the gates, and with a system that, for all intents and purposes, probably shouldn't even be running VR, and they did, and we paid out the ass for that. Now it's actually less money, and you're getting a headset that is arguably on the higher end side of like Ryan said, of the commercially more available headsets. Like obviously, when you start talking about things that Varo's doing and things like that, it's in a different
And the
world.
Varo still needs a PC to run that too. It's not like it's a standalone headset either, right? I mean, this is like
when it comes to standalones, it's basically really essentially is like, there's the Quest Pro, but it's like Pico 4 Quest 2.
Yeah, right now.
And this And I mean, so I guess like segueing a little bit into the game side of things, and we'll take a deep
I'm
dive in
ready.
that.
I'm ready.
But like Jason said, and it is, and I think he was dead on, is the fact that like the price becomes way less of an issue if the games are there. Like if there's just no question about the fact that the experience that you're getting on the PSVR 2, especially let's say at launch, even though I hate to only focus on a headset at launch, but that's really what we're talking about right now. It needs to speak to people going, you can't do this on Quest, you can't do that on Quest, you can't do that on Quest, you can't do that on Quest. Then all the comparisons go out the window. That right now, when you look at the launch lineup, that's not the feeling I'm getting from it.
Yeah. I mean, the haptics and basically everything else that's in there, and just the audio alone are enough to kick the shit out of the Quest on that. You know what I mean? For a small ticket price. But again,
It is, but you know what the problem with that though is
games apps. Yeah.
you still run into that problem that VR suffers from inherently is people have to experience it to get it. You know, it's hard to sell people on haptics, especially when we don't know what, you know, like when we look at the dual sense controllers on the PS5, you know, really unless it's an exclusive, not a lot of companies have super taken advantage of those haptics.
Oh, a lot of games do actually.
Not like the exclusives do though. The exclusives are some next level shit.
Well, true. I mean, like the Astrobot rescue mission, right on there. Like I always tell, if somebody gets a 5, I'm like, that's the first thing you got to do.
You know, with Astro,
First thing
Ratchet and Clank, Returnal, Gran Turismo, Horizon. I'm sure Ragnarok's going to kick ass. You know, those games are next level haptics.
Well, even like companies like Ilphonic for Ghostbusters, you got the haptics in there too. Remember we played that? It's got that kind of feedback, like, you know, the tension on there and everything like that. Nobody else has that right now.
No, and I love that.
And if people want immersion, you got high resolution graphics. You got immersion in the hand, immersion on the head, and sound that is going to be untouchable.
We'll see about that head one. How much of that is more for motion sickness, and how much is that really for game immersion? I think really, though, it's going to come down to games. And like I was saying to both of you, like the PSVR 2 showed up on the store, and I looked at that storefront and I was like, wow. This does not make me want to buy a PSVR 2 right now.
I'm going to cut you off here right now before you go any deeper. So we're all crying about the launch lineup, which isn't finalized by any stretch. We don't have this we know of a handful of games that are like Horizon's confirmed for launch. I think everything else is still up for conjecture. Am I not wrong? I mean, you can read between the lines from the blog post yesterday. There's like 5 or 6 games that said pre-order now, available early 2023, and anything that said pre-order to me kind of tells me that it should be a launch title unless something gets screwy. That being said, before we get into these launch titles, this is the launch lineup for the PSVR 1. So let's just see what people are getting excited. Like 100-Foot Robot, Ace Banana, Batman Arkham VR, Battlezone, Bound, Drive Club VR, Eve Gunjack, Eve Valkyrie, Harmonix Music VR, Hatsune Miku Project Diva X VR, Headmaster, Here They Lie, Hustle Kings VR, Job Simulator, Keep Talking, Loading Humans, Stardust Ultra VR, PlayStation VR Worlds, Res Infinite, Riggs, Rise of the Tomb Raider DLC, Super Hypercube, The Assembly, The Playroom VR, Thumper, Tumble VR, Until Dawn, sorry for going so long, Volume Coda, Wayward Sky, World War II, which didn't even happen, Pixel Gear, Weeping Doll, Carnival Games. There's more, but none of these games, like almost none of these games have stood the test of time. Like as far as a launch goes, this launch is already better than PSVR 1's launch by miles.
Well, VR is in a much different spot as well.
For sure, but I'm not.
But the big difference is that Sony was like pretty much like there was when it came to like commercially, like you know, like entry level VR, it was like they were competing against like the Gear VR, you know, and then it was PC. Whereas PSVR 2's got to try to pull people from the Quest 2. They really do. I mean, like obviously, and a lot of PSVR guys have gone to the Quest 2, and so when you're
have to,
when your launch lineup, you know, is, you know, when your launch lineup has a lot of Quest ports and PSVR 1 remasters, essentially, that's not a good look. Like, yes, you got Horizon Call the Mountain. Okay, sweet. You know, Star Wars Tales from the Galaxy's Edge, like Quest port. Resident Evil Village, awesome, but it's still, it's still an older game. Like that's not going to win over necessarily win over people who are looking to to see if PSVR 2 is what they want and they're coming from a flat game world. Like it's an old game still, you know.
Yeah.
Demio,
Sure.
Questport, No Man's Sky, old game. Walking Dead Saints and Sinners Retribution, amazing, but it's still going to have been out on other consoles and stuff before it finally gets to us. Firewall Ultra remaster.
Well, not Retribution though. I mean, Retribution will be
No,
coming
but it
out
will have been out on the
at the same time.
PlayStation and the PC and the Quest before PSVR 2 even gets on it. Like it's not. I'm just saying it's.
Yeah, it will
not-
be brand new on there. No,
know,
you're not wrong. But we said once again, we don't know how many of these games are launch, and nor like I don't think they're done yet. Like they didn't say this is the
course they're
launch
not.
lineup.
Of course they're not, and I'm not
They
saying
ha-
that. But
Everyone's crying about it though, like they
but
did.
but it's not a good look because because I understand what you're saying. They're not done yet. This is
So if a month from now they do the
they're
full launch
asking-
lineup and it's got Call of Duty and it's got something else, it's got some crazy, I don't know, Uncharted VR. It's not a good look now, but when they do have the launch,
Yeah.
and let's say the launch, then it doesn't matter how it looks now.
Agreed.
Because
and I'm not this is not a hill to die on. I'm not saying it won't look better. But when I'm just saying from Sony's standpoint, when they've launched the store now and they don't even have Village or No Man's Sky on there or Retribute or Walking Dead, like what are you putting the store up for with this handful of like weak ass titles? Like really, like they're not even
you
their
couldn't
best
even
titles.
find the store earlier before the episode started.
Well,
On the
It's not out
PS4.
there.
It's on the top. It's on the
I mean,
top.
Okay.
they're known for razzle dazzle, right? Giving us a reel that blows our mind, and then we want to get it. That's what they've done for every console. That like, what happened here?
I
with
get
this?
that they're trying to
you
keep
know?
expectations lower until they're ready to blow the top off, but I'm still go back to the point that you've launched it in the PS5 now, like on the store front, so you've got PSVR 2 there saying, yeah, get ready for the next generation of VR. Then you look at the titles, you're like, really? Especially if you're the layman and you're not going, oh well, maybe this isn't the full launch lineup
But
yet.
that's how every console launches. Every console has the same. PS5's launch was like, what was the big games on
Yeah.
PS5 at launch? It was Demon Souls and
Yeah,
what
there
was
was
the other
nothing.
one? There's like two,
Yeah, there
3
was
games at the
nothing.
most.
Godfall, Demon
Dude,
Souls.
Pick any console in the past 30 years that had just this craziest launch on the planet with all these known IPs. It just doesn't happen. And
No.
you can't drop like 10
But they're
crazy AAA
dropping-
games.
no.
You can't. You
But
can't.
they're dropping indies though. Like there's like indies in their list.
Sure.
Like
Drop indies now. Why not? Get it out there.
Oh.
Start building hype like that, because you can't have a launch with like 20 AAA 20-hour VR games. You can't. That's too much. You can't sit there. You'll overload people and people won't buy it. And if people don't buy it in the first 2 weeks, well, now they're waiting for a sale. So
No,
now you
but
have to sit there and
But
Grip-
what if
better off to limit the games they talk about and just keep games that are like awesome.
you
Like,
talk,
all I'm
Jason. I'm
saying is-
sick of this guy.
Yeah, what if they came out and they're like, you can get to Steam VR through this now. People are gonna just, the
Oh,
heads
man.
are gonna freaking explode. Or at least, or if you make it connect to a PC, it'll entice people to buy the headset more, right?
100%.
Why is there a reason? I mean, I know they're saying that it's not capable, but why not?
Bullshit. Who said that?
Yeah,
It's
if
not
it's
capable from
USB-C,
Sony. Yeah,
yeah,
no, I'm with
we'll
you,
break
Jason. Yeah,
Yeah, we'll
someone's
break
gonna break that in like 2 weeks.
yeah, the hackers will break it quickly.
100%. And the second that's official,
probably not even 2 weeks. It'll be like 2 days, dude.
Yeah.
Seriously,
yeah, totally.
somebody will open that shit,
But you're not wrong, though.
Right through the software.
Like, what a selling point that would be for the headset if someone just says, yeah, literally, like I figured it out. It takes you a half an hour and now you can run PC games no problem. Like,
well,
whoa, now you're getting a crazy deal on a headset.
well, yeah. I mean, Oculus or Meta has their stuff right on there, but more people go to Steam, and there's way more options. So if they can make something like that work, I know I'm just shooting off like the way far deep in here on this, but like
that's been one of the big arguments with PSVR 2 and the fact it's not backwards compatible. But like, how many of those games on PSVR are also on Steam? So then you do have that past library of games that you can't get that are now on Steam sales for like $2 to $5. It does kind of put a band-aid on that on that bullet hole, and it's a pretty big band-aid because and that even another side point is the fact that Pistol Whip is one developer, Alvo's another developer, Alvo, I'm not developer, after the fall, all these games are getting free PS5 patches, which means when they release the PS5 version of that game, if you own the PSVR version of that game, your upgrade to PSVR 2 is free.
Did they
And
confirm that?
Yeah, those three
Okay, good.
pistol whips for sure. After the falls for sure. Alvo said that's what they're gonna do. I'm not sure how. And there's at least one more company said as well that I'm blanking on. But that's what they're saying. So they're basically giving free upgrades. So as long as these companies release PS5 versions, there is that incentive to basically give PS4 owners free upgrades, or we've even seen it with like Hitman had like a $10 upgrade or something like that. I can't remember who did it, but there's that chance for even a $5 upgrade to get your game to the PS5 version. That's potentially there. So there could be a very substantial launch library that isn't necessarily part of the launch library.
And that falls in line with what you and I were talking about. The fact that when people are bitching about backwards compatibility, it's like, no, it's going to be, and I think this is the right move, is for developers that are still around and think it's worthwhile, like the game was worthwhile, to do either a remaster or a PS5 upgrade, and then decide whether they want to charge for that. Obviously, free is better for getting those games over onto the PS5 side.
But it's an upgrade for, but
similar to how lots of developers have been handling PS5 versions of games.
But it's an upgrade for some.
$10.
But yeah, it's an upgrade for some. But if you just bought a brand new PSVR, and you do see like After the Fall in there, it's still the PS5 version of After the Fall. Like there's still sales involved. It's not just free ports. They're still getting the bonus sales as well. So
this comes down to what Ryan and I have talked about in the past, whereas and I've said I see that you're
catering to an enthusiast, basically.
You've got different groups. You've got different groups that are going to receive and be spoken to differently. You've got your PSVR diehards that are already in, and they've got all the games and stuff. And it's like, so like, what's going to draw them in? A lot of them are looking for new experiences and probably PC games that were out of reach. You've got people that are flat gamers, don't have VR. They're looking at this going, okay, like PC VR is not happening, and they're looking at, they've got a console and they're like, well, is it ready to jump into? Is it awesome yet? And that's the crowd. But that's the crowd.
It will be with the hardware.
But this is the crowd. But that is the crowd I am the most concerned about, because Sony doesn't care about the 5 million PSVR headsets as much as they care about the other 65 million who didn't buy one. And I'm looking at it from their eyes. They're looking at the PSVR 2, at least what has been communicated so far, and they're not spending $550 to $600 yet. It's not there yet.
No.
Zenith was the other one that had the free PS5 port. Thank you, Distracted.
Hey, look, you know what? I stand corrected. $600 all in.
Look, but it's still, it is, especially something like
the social apps. That's his favorite place to be.
But that's not nothing. I know, and Jason mentioned earlier, I think pre-episode, how nothing announced. There's nothing social announced yet as far as Rec Room and stuff. I believe Rec Room has already said they are working on a PSVR or PS5 version. I want to say I heard that somewhere. But outside of that, and I could be wrong on that one, you're not wrong, Jason. They haven't announced a single social app, which it's, for myself, less concerning, but for the general VR market, I mean, social VR is only getting bigger and bigger. So that is something definitely to be looking for.
Well, Rec Room was going a little on the Unity side of stuff. That should tell you something.
It's for everybody.
Well, the rooms that are going to require more visual specs are going to require what?
Oh, you think that they're going to, so that they can move into the upgraded visuals?
I'm answering questions with the information that's out there.
You know what? Look at bottom line. Bottom line for me, it's until I hear Sony announce Gran Turismo 7 in VR. The launch lineup's not complete. It's not even it's nowhere near complete, because I know they're sitting on that. They must be sitting on that.
But we did get Rush of Blood 2 in a way, which is pretty damn slick.
Fuck yes. Now, I talked to Jason a little bit, and he was just like, he's like, 6 years it took him to get a second roller coaster game.
Look, I'll end up playing it, right?
What is this, Ryan? Is this?
But for me, it's kind of weird that, like, you have 6 years in an advanced headset, and I know people wanted it though. So I mean, that's I'm totally
So
cool with that
I've been
side of it.
thinking
But to me, it just doesn't make sense.
so
Like
I've been thinking about
you
your
had 6 years
comment.
to do something else. Do
I've been
something
thinking
else besides a roller coaster ride.
They did.
Well,
they did. They did. They did.
Well, yeah. Let's not talk about the other
The
stuff
Yeah,
they
well,
did.
The
exactly.
Inpatient
They
and
need a
Bravo
win,
team?
Jason.
Yeah.
They need a win. Is all they're going for
Yeah,
here.
yeah. What was it? The inpatient,
The
right?
Impatient and Bravo
Yeah.
And
team.
Bravo team.
God, man,
Woo!
I am such a VR horror chicken shit, dude. I got to one point where I went in the room and the
Okay, so
patient.
now the
Oof.
truth's coming out.
Yeah.
The roller coaster ride scared him.
Yeah.
No,
there you go.
no. I was fine with that. The jump scare stuff doesn't get me. It's the psychological horror that really, like
No, I
the
don't do
say like
psychological.
Res 7 or something like that. That's a
Res,
little, yeah.
that's not
That's a little
psychological.
too realistic for me.
Well, now
Here's
we
the
found.
thing.
It sounds
Yeah.
like you're the problem, Jason, not Supermassive.
Well,
I
whatever.
was thinking about what Jason said
You
though, and
call me
and I
what
was
you want.
well, I was thinking about Rush of Blood, and I was thinking about Jason's comment of just like meh. And I think that one of the things that's probably the difference is I think it's fair to say you don't show off your VR a lot. Like you don't have a lot of people over and putting them into VR.
No, no.
Rush of Blood was and still is like one of my go-to VR like show and tell games because it just like immediately gave them like it looked good. So it had that AAA look to it. It was a haunted house but not too scary. It was a roller coaster but not too extreme. They were sitting, which was one good thing, and it was a shooting game, which most people like to shoot shit, but it was also didn't require. All they had to do was shoot and shake their hands. Like there wasn't a lot.
Right.
It was easy to
And
put
it was
someone
facing
into.
forward. There was no messing with tracking either. It
Right.
utilized PSVR's crappy tracking.
Everything
wonderfully.
about it was like the
Yeah.
perfect all-in VR game. I remember when they announced it. Funny enough, we're talking about launch lineups. I remember when they announced it in the launch lineup. I was like, "Wow, that looks like a piece of garbage." It's a
Dude,
roller.
I gave it like a 6.5 out of 10. I was like, yeah, I feel like roller coasters and guns. I guess this is a roller coaster gun game. And then I reviewed it like a couple of years later. I was like, this game holds up so damn well. I was so wrong on my original review. It holds up. It still holds up well in 2022. It's good.
I agree.
Yeah. And so, like, when I saw the sequel drop and I knew the Dark Pictures tagline as being attached to Supermassive, like I knew that after the Until Dawn, they brought out the Dark Pictures anthology series, which is all their Until Dawn kind of interactive horror games went under. So as soon as I saw Dark Pictures, I was like, "Oh, hot damn, they did it! It's a sequel! Woohoo!" I mean,
Well,
to me, like that Rush of Blood 2, I'm calling it Rush of Blood 2 Switchback. What a stupid name. Um, the thing about that game is that one of the things that Sony has done so well that PCVR and the Quest is still not done is like bringing people into a single room to enjoy VR.
Yeah.
Like with the social screen focus that Sony had, like, and the Quest still sucks for sharing VR in that regard. PC, it's like you're still, come sit around my monitor.
Can I talk?
Did they do Until Dawn as well?
Yeah.
They
Were they
published
saying-
it, yeah.
Why?
But-
Why? Oh yeah, I'll go after you, buddy. I know you were waiting to jump in. So.
I just wanted to say because
Yeah.
Chris had made the point that they don't care about the original, like the PSVR, the 5 million PSVR 1 owners. I disagree. I think those 5 million PSVR 1 owners are exactly who they're going to be catering to because those 5 million those owners are going to be the ones doing
Waiting.
all the heavy lifting for showing their friends and bringing all the social VR back to their living rooms. Like they're counting on us to spread the word because it's been 6 years and that word it's fallen on deaf ears. So
No,
now
I think there's not that they don't care about us. They're just expecting the fact that we're on the nipple and we're not getting off. We're still all sitting there's like,
and now we gotta start spracking again. We gotta start peeking. Like I haven't put somebody in the headset in a long time. It's been a long time. Now it'd be like, yeah, man, come and try Switchback. Come and try what's that military one that looked pretty damn slick. Like these are games that like come check this thing out. It's not blurry anymore. The controls, you're not holding the move controller and turning your wrist to it works like it's supposed to. Like it's gonna be good.
I go back to what I said before. I'm going to say it again. I still am a very strong believer in that when it finally comes to launch and they're getting ready to like actually like, really push that out into market and they want to like try to get the sales figures that they want to see to be able to justify the continued investment in VR, they want to get those Quest guys. They want to get all those Quest owners to invest in a PS5 and a headset And the only way they're going to do that is that with games
By coming over to my house, will I show them what the PSVR 2 can do?
They're all going to Ryan's house. But they're only going to do that with a showcase of titles where you can't play that on the Quest. You cannot play that on the Quest. And when your launch lineup is like Demio and Cosmonius High and I'm just
everyone on the hate train. Toot toot.
No, I expect better. And
we're gonna get better.
Yeah,
This is
I want it.
Jason, I want Jason to talk.
Yeah, well, before we go farther, that when I was talking about the Supermassive with Until Dawn, you got Among Us, one of the most popular games out there. You have Until Dawn VR. You have a high-resolution headset. You have social people getting together in this freaking thing. Utilize it. Make a game with it. If I'm giving you an idea right now, great. But I mean, roller coaster ride, awesome. They gave people what they wanted again, but like, capitalize on what's popular out there.
I would like to take a moment to just thank chat. Guys, we're up to 43 viewers, and that's an all-time high for us.
Nice.
Since we've gone live. This is only our 3rd episode, and so it's been kind of an uphill battle. And I just want to shout out to chat for you guys that are out there and joining us in the conversation. I've been reading the chat the whole time.
Yeah, it's been really entertaining this episode. It's kind of funny how we don't really talk about it, but you guys have been entertaining the hell out of me this
especially
episode.
This one guy that says Shug is 1000% correct. Wolfer.
No, he's a new account, so I'm kind of assuming it's like your wife on there right now. But
honey. No, if that was my wife, she'd be doing a super chat. Put some money. This is how we keep the lights on.
Yeah.
Roll it into yourself, Fred.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, $100 donation right now.
Guys, I just want to honestly really, really appreciate that with chat, guys.
It's awesome. 42 guys right now. That's dynamite for us.
Like we always say, join the conversation, and so that's one of the reasons we wanted to go live, because it was just really fun to see I may not be commenting on what everybody's saying, but there's some things that people are saying that are making it into things that I'm addressing. So
you're giving Chris all his smart points. That makes a lot of sense.
That means you have to have me on more, I guess, is what it is.
Hey, we have you down for at least one more now, Jason. But yeah, no, like I said, Chris has been, he's definitely been the naysayer in regards to, he's been the voice of, I don't know if I'd say the majority, but definitely not a small minority in regards to the fact that, we're still not at a point now where this is what people want, or this is what PSVR 2 needs. And they're not wrong. Like, I'm not blown away by this thing. To me, everything that's been released so far, what they've announced, shit I don't care about, Cosmonius High, that kind of thing. They're not bad games, but they're perfectly acceptable to be there at launch, as long as we have those bigger games that will attract people first. Because Cosmonius High, not my jam, but from the makers of Job Simulator, that still says something. So when you do buy this and you do have apparently a very hugely up-res Star Wars game, that game, unless their trailers are just like video footage they're lying to us at, that footage they have for Galaxy's Edge on PSVR 2 looks like, I don't know, like 50 times better than what's on Quest. It's the textures, lighting, all that stuff looks absolutely phenomenal. So when you see that, when you see what looks to be a near AAA Star Wars game, and with both chapters in that thing, it's 6 hours of game content.
No, it's not bad. No, and that's what I'm saying. That speaks to the other audience too, though. I'm not actually I don't mean to come off as super negative. You have no idea how bad I want the PSVR 2 to just do it all right. Yeah. And we were, and one of the things that we were talking about, that we would get to, is that the messaging, and the way Sony's, making media outlets, and VR influencers do a lot of the heavy lifting by still dropping the release date and the price on the blog. It's part of me gets it. They're still playing the keeping it on the down low a little bit and letting it get to the people who really care without it necessarily offending and getting in the way of Ragnarok to the flat gamers out there. But I think that for those of us who live and die VR, we want to see Sony celebrate it too. We want to see them really put that flag in the ground and be this is why you're gonna play VR, you flat fuckers.
Dark Angel, you should have said something super sexy here. Dark Angel 3, thank you so much for the super chat. cheers to you, my friend. Jason,
Oh,
go.
It's her birthday today, so
I know.
guess
Happy
people
birthday.
want to wish
Oh,
her happy
awesome.
birthday.
I was gonna say, I feel like that $3 is probably directed mainly at Jason. That's why we bring in the talent.
Well, that's my rate, $3 an hour. I go cheap.
Now,
Just
I will before we get too off on a tangent though, which is kind of my fault about the communication and the way that they're handling, I guess, the hype or the lack of hype. I did want to quickly go back and talk about the new games that did come up in this recent blog post, because there are some games in there that I think could be just absolute fire if they pan out properly. Obviously, what I'm calling Rush of Blood 2 Switchback. um Crossfire Sierra Squad.
Yeah,
How
man.
awesome did that look?
Salvador, Wonder Rob, you guys kick ass. I love you guys. But yeah, Crossfire looks friggin' nuts. Both Salvador and Wonder Rob will agree with me with their $5 donations. You guys kick ass.
Damn, guys.
But yeah, Crossfire, that came out of nowhere. It's from the franchise itself. Me and Chris had to look it up because I heard of it, but I couldn't really recall where I heard of it from. It's a lot bigger in Europe. There's actually a show. China actually has a TV series based upon the franchise. So it's kind of a big deal, not in North America, but goddamn, did that game look sexy? It was honestly, watch that trailer. Was if Call of Duty Activision wants to say, we're not ready for VR yet, we don't fucking need you. We have Crossfire, because that game looks sexy as fuck.
Well, we looked it up. For those, Ryan and I were talking on the phone the other day, and I was like, turns out it's a series in Japan and China. I think it's a Korean studio, and
nice.
And they've been around since the early 2000s. They've had multiple games,
5 games, I think 5 big games with a whole bunch of spin-offs.
Some of them are RTS games, and it's a thing. So because I was like, this looks too good to just be coming from some small indie studio, right? And it's like Jesus, and then what is it that I looked? Oh, so here's the little tidbit that I thought was really neat. They just invested $100 million in a new studio that's, I guess, is going to be under their umbrella. I can't remember the name of the studio that's doing this Crossfire. The heck was it? It was called
Crossfire Studios.
I don't know. I can't remember.
I can't remember. Smilegate.
Oh, yes.
It says it's just looking here. It's either solo or in co-op mode with up to 4 players as a team. It looks like what we wanted Bravo Team to be.
Yeah, totally.
39 types of weapons. Yeah.
Oh God, Bravo Team. I don't even want to think about that game.
But it looks
Some
arcadey.
people love
it looks arcadey, but it looks like a blast, and it looks like the types of games that we want to see on PSVR 2. So that looks awesome. But I digress. They spent this $100 million, I think it was, in this new studio that's going to be underneath Smilegate, and the studio has people from oh my God, Infinity Ward. And there was another studio in there that was a big deal. I can't remember what it was now. But I said to Ryan, I'm like, you can read between the lines. There's some talent in for shooters.
True.
So they're obviously, whether it's, not necessarily in this game, obviously. But that was the one that jumped out. I saw Crossfire. I was like, damn, where'd this game come from?
Yeah, 100%. I guess for you, Jason, I'm assuming you watched all the trailers for all the games they announced yesterday.
Yes.
Was there a standout for you as well?
Hello, neighbor.
When we just spoke about, but also the one from Funktronic Labs. I mean, that little Fuji thing that they did before was really interesting.
Fuji, that's where I knew them from.
Yeah, we had to look it up earlier.
Yeah, I knew the name, but I couldn't recall the game.
We were trying to not talk about stuff before the show today. So, but yeah, I mean, that's seeing them playing with the new hardware and stuff like that. They can do so much with this right now, right? You know what I mean? They can make high level stuff. This is going to get really exciting. So I just can't wait to see it. They have to have some plenty of aces up their sleeves still. They need to drop those. Even if it's just one by one, start dropping them out. You know what I mean?
I mean, we're all clamoring for a state of play.
Sprite.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the games are good. Crap, I'm blanking out. What's the octopus one?
Tentacular.
Tentacular.
Yeah, you and I love that just like you, Ryan. you're a fan of that game too. It's fun.
Yeah, it's
But-
almost like it's a tech demo, but like with the launch of a new headset, tech demos do matter. Like when you can show off like physics like that, like, and it's a fun throwaway stupid, like that's a game you can socially put someone in your headset in VR for 5 minutes in your living room, Chris, and they'll have a blast messing around with a squid.
I don't know you're gonna single me out for this. I was gonna say something positive. First of all, you all thought it was tentacle porn, Ryan. We know that, and you were like, "Oh, never mind. It's a kid's game. Disappointing." Oh well, it'll still work.
I still liked it.
But anyways,
Jesus. Well, the haptics and sound. I mean, that can change that game alone.
One of my
in a different way than we've experienced it. So
Back
I mean,
to the
let's just keep on talking about Chris. I just want to keep talking about Chris. We can't get caught in.
He's like, wait.
I want to talk about Tentacular in a positive light. One of my favorite moments of sharing the like PSVR experience with like friends and family. Again, back to the social nature of what set Sony apart from everyone else was the playroom. When it had a bunch of mini games, which is where Astro came from, right? But one of the game modes in there, I had my buddy and his wife and his 2 little boys, and we were playing the one where we're like you're basically like a Godzilla. And if you remember this, and like so the guy in the headset was Godzilla, and he was like stomping down the road, and he was like roaring and throwing things while other people in the living room were on the social screen controlling little characters that were like trying to run away from him. But the guy in the headset, like everything he said, like came out like a roar. And so you're like, "Oh, I'm gonna eat little kids." It was like, and that was what came out of the speakers in the house. And that kind of VR interactivity, like focused on kids. Like there's a market for that. And so when I saw Tentacular, I'm not like, "Where's the pre-order button?" But I was like, yeah, that's good though too, because that is one of the things that like the PlayStation VR, it's in a living room. It's important for them to have those types of games, you know.
Yes.
What the types of games it's important for it to not have? Jurassic World Aftermath.
It's the Redux though. It's the deluxe edition, Chris.
It's the Resucks.
What do they call it? It's called something, isn't it? Isn't it called something special? It's the Aftermath. Oh, just collection. Yeah,
it's just
they must have already had a deal with them or something, right? Ahead of time.
I mean, honestly, it seems like they're trading. It seems like we're going to see more Sony titles on Quest and more Quest titles on the PSVR. It just seems
it's good for everybody. Everybody, yeah.
It's come up a bunch of times. Beat Saber. Is Beat Saber going to be on Quest 2? And I have to believe it's going to be, and I have to believe that Oculus is going to get some crazy shit in trade for that.
Oh, you talking about PSVR 2?
Yeah, for PSVR 2 to get Beat Saber, because I mean, Beat Saber it's still the biggest selling game on PSVR 1, for God's sake. It's crazy how that game is just like, who doesn't own it?
It depends how they want to play it, right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, do you want to make it available for everyone and make mad money that way? Or do you want to make it's a killer app if you keep it on your headset.
But what if, and if it comes to PSVR 2, is it going to be a free upgrade, or is it going to be a brand new purchase and everyone has to rebuy like all their DLC packs? It's messy.
Ooh,
messy.
If they did, I would say the most they would do is like a $10 upgrade, but all the packs switched over.
Like a $10 upgrade for the base game kind of thing?
Yeah.
And that's not a bad idea.
It's a licensing nightmare. You don't know this. I'm a hardcore Rock Band guy, and I know the nightmares of what it meant when you were from like, edition to edition to edition, and then licensing's going out, like licensing was not taking into account those further iterations. So who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, I would lose whole albums at a time, and then they magically come back, and it's just like, no, I wanted to play, blah 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 or whatever right now, but it's gone because they lost the license temporarily.
I'll be surprised if Pop 1 shows up on the PSVR.
I think they're playing friendly right now, man. Like everyone keeps saying how it's this competition and getting these Quest owners, but man, it seems like Iron Man 2 is just one example. But we're with Star Wars, even the other Star Wars game that came out, the Vader Tales, whatever that one's called. It seems honestly like Oculus and Sony are playing pretty nice.
Vader Immortal?
Well, it's
Vader Tales.
It makes more sense. I mean, we're all in this together, right? Yeah, you're killing them right now. Yeah, but I mean, they're all different headsets. But the more people that are buying these and buying the games on there, the better it is for everybody.
Yeah, I mean,
so,
like I said, as big
Yeah,
as the Quest is sold, it's not like the Quest, the PS5 is still outselling the Quest, like what, 3-1 now at this point?
right.
Like there's still, no matter which VR platform um, you you pick or choose, it's still small fries compared to console gaming. It doesn't matter who. So I like playing friendly now makes more sense, especially when you start talking about cross-platform and cross-play
Yeah.
and making sure that everybody on every headset can play with each other. After the Fall is an example of one. Alvo as well. Alvo's compatible with PS4, Quest, PC, and now Pico headsets. Like they all completely. That's awesome. That's like so amazing that they do that. And all these developers or these manufacturers rather, or whatever the heck they are, Sony, Oculus, all these Pico, all these guys are working together to build, a sustainable ecosystem that's not called a metaverse, because screw that. That's awesome. That's amazing. So I think they're all working together right now. It's all good. Once VR is like selling as much as the consoles, then they can start fighting and being like, no, we got Mario VR.
I
Uh,
like exclusives have their place because
Absolutely.
everybody loves to cheerlead for their mascot, but at the same time, for the most part, I do think that VR is in a state where we all need to lift each other up. I really do think that like there's not a lot of room right now in VR for fanboy
Yeah.
behavior.
It's kind of sad watching people argue over a $100 headset. I mean, yeah, a lot of us are poor. We can't afford that kind of stuff. Shit, I wouldn't even have the Quest 1 or 2 if it wasn't for you guys. Even you, Shaq, right? You
That's
helped
all
me out get
that's all
that.
that-
You helped me get in. You helped me get into that. Juice helped me with the Quest 2. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't even be doing this stuff without you guys. So I
And that
appreciate you.
goes
But
that
like to me, VR means a lot, and to see people fighting over what headset, this, and that. But it's also funny too at the same time. People dropping 1,500 and then going the next day complaining that 550 is too much.
We're
For-
also all
For a headset that's
at the end of the-
comparable, it's like what?
but
like,
it's like in
yeah.
our own little world, it's like looking at the world going, why are we all fighting and
Yeah.
arguing over this political side and this political side? We're all humans. Like we're all on the same team here. I feel it's the
Yeah.
same thing in obviously a much less critical scope when it comes to VR. It's like we all love virtual reality, and we're all trying to like cheerlead this way of immersive gaming and experiences in VR. And we're really fighting against like still kind of the masses of people that are like meh, eh, eh. And it's like we shouldn't be fighting amongst each other,
well, we
debating.
did mention though, but I mean PSVR is too tethered, so bleh.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
you
I'm
know.
never doing a chord again.
But
Yeah.
but again, this goes back to my point with Sony. It's
Yeah.
like they're going to have a lot of pushback on the cord from Quest users, and the only way they're going to get over that is with games, content,
Right.
and they're not going to do it with Quest ports.
No, and you're not wrong. I mean, the last thing I want to see is the entire Quest library port over to PSVR. That's just a giant step sideways. Not to say that there obviously there is room for that. Clearly,
Oh,
with
I want
stuff
all
like Pop
the Quest
1,
games too. I want all of your games, and I want all of your games,
all of them,
all of them, and I want Ragnarok in VR, and I want like Wolveraza or whatever, however he pronounces himself in chat. He is my spirit animal in chat there today because he is fighting the good fight in the chat there, talking about
and
what we need to see.
if you can't afford a PS5 now and the PSVR 2 is too expensive, start saving your $1 a day now, because when the PS5 Pro drops and the PSVR 2 Pro drops, maybe you'll have enough money by then. I still think the PSVR 2 Pro is coming. 3-4 years down the road, wireless to the PS5 could happen. $1,000.
There's no reason with streaming, especially with Wi-Fi 6 on the actual unit itself.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Could be utilized. But the wire, I mean, but also at the same time, look at how many people you play with that have, like 2 headsets and they have to switch in between because they have to keep charging the batteries in between. Who wants to deal with
Oh
that
man,
shit
you
all
can't
the
even
time?
Demio. You can play through a whole round of Demio without having
Yeah.
to panic about your Quest battery.
Yeah.
I have. There have been games I'm like, guys, we either got to win this or we got to die, because I'm like getting the final warning on the Quest battery.
Yeah.
I'm at 5%. I'm at 3%. We're at Mega. Take your turn.
We talked about it before, and it's like
Right.
I feel like when it comes to PSVR and Quest owners, I'm like, we are a similar bunch in the fact there's always been kind of the PC like masterclass, of like unlimited power in the VR titles. Now, PC's taking a bit of a back seat because they just can't make money there. But like, the PlayStation did the heavy lifting to try to get the masses to take VR like seriously, in the fact that they could afford to play it, and that it wasn't just Gear VR. Like this is real VR. Like there's some experiences here that are mind blowing. And then Sony, kind of did what they could, and then like Meta came in and the Quest, and they've been doing a lot of heavy lifting, and they've been putting in some pretty incredible numbers, but they wouldn't have gotten there if Sony hadn't like kind of like pushed that first huge hurdle across the field.
What's that called when you pass the baton in the Olympics? I can't think of it right
A
now.
relay?
This is what we're doing, man. I mean, like I said, but this is exactly what it is, man. Like like Quest wouldn't be where they were without PSVR, and PSVR 2 won't be where it's at without Quest. They are passing the baton on and carrying it forward. And when they get to that goal of VR being not just a joke to gamers who are just like headset, and it's gonna happen way sooner than later, man. Like we're seeing, the fact that Resident Evil 8 is now gonna be fully playable in VR on like premium headsets. That's just a sign of the things to come, man. Like, and it's no joke. Like this is going to be like, this is what we're waiting for. Like all us PSVR 1 guys who were there day one, or just got it throughout the launch, who fell in love with VR because of the PSVR 1. That was the training wheels, man. Like that was all the mistakes being learned. Well, I shouldn't say, like they're going to fix them all, but all the mistakes at least being exposed, and all these developers learning and going for it. We've seen developers grow from making tiny games to making substantially larger VR titles. And it's only, in the tech, it's all coming together to be what we want VR to be, to what the movies told us VR is supposed to be. And that's kind of the thing. Expectation versus reality. PSVR 2 should reach expectation.
Yeah. And to reach those expectations though, you got to pay for it. Like it's not shitty tech you're getting. That's the thing. Like there's a, not to go backwards too much, but there is a price associated with getting what we all want. And I hate to go back. I want to revisit this whole cable thing. I think getting outside of the argument of of whether cables got whether you get better quality and lower latency and this and that, I think that's all a component. But here's the bottom line for Sony. I think when they were looking at going cabled, and that goes the same for every PC headset too that has gone cabled, is, and this is the bottom line, Sony cannot launch a device where they have to put in the hands of users that they're going to have the proper Wi-Fi set up at home. They're going to have a decent enough router to run the experience flawlessly, because we're not even really there on PC. Like it's still not perfect. And further to that, people are bitching about the price. If the PSVR 2 was wireless, you would have to have all that tech in the headset to do wireless transmitting. Like you'd have to have like chipsets in that headset, not just displays. Like,
and an operating system to
that's what I mean.
utilize it.
And then you'd have weight issues, and then you'd have batteries. Like people are bitching about the price now. Just add $200 to that. Easily.
Just so we know, like Chris is talking to everybody not watching this podcast right now, because we all know you guys are smart enough to know all this stuff.
I've seen some cord comments in the chat there. I've seen them. I saw you commenting. I'm just saying, it all goes hand in hand with price and expectations, right? And it's like I still stand by Sony. They were very smart to go cabled, because therefore they guarantee that the experience that they say you're going to get. Yeah, you're going to have a cable. You have to deal with it. That sucks.
But all the better headsets have the cable, right? That's the only way to get the best. That's the only way to get the best graphics, people.
Well, not just
not
just graphics,
but the best. And I mean, and wireless is getting
very low latency.
Good. It's getting great, but it requires some fuckery. We've all seen that. Like, even Meta can't get their link to work properly, or the Air Link. Virtual desktop's still the better way to go. It's complicated.
Agreed.
And the whole point of console VR is plug and play. It needs to be easy. Head and play VR. Not, oh shit, why am I dropping frames? Well, have you checked your router yet? What? You didn't tell me I had to have Wi-Fi 6? We're not there yet. And even
Yeah.
and PCVR, even though they're starting like future headsets are looking that maybe they'll go in that direction, they're not there yet. And I go back to what I've heard both of you say. Ryan was one of the first people to say it, is that's what we call the PSVR 2 Pro.
It's coming. I'm telling you,
That's very
2020.
five.
5, I would say, yeah. If it does,
6. I'm
yeah.
going 6.
I'd give them
PSVR 2
2
Pro.
years because they need to still play in the game. It needs to be
Yeah,
faster.
because when they bring out the PSVR
Yeah.
2 Pro, they'll at least still be competing against the Quest 8, and it'll be good.
Quest 5. Don't be ridiculous.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, we need to get to the point where the price wars start going. Then the actual hardware will drop. They'll take the loss because then more people will be buying, and that means more people will be buying games.
For sure, 100%.
They'll get. I'm not saying exactly what it is, but they'll get their percentage off of the sales. Sony is a licensing company. Oculus is doing the same thing, right? You purchase it, they get their cut. Sony gets their cut off of every purchase made on the store too, as well. So it's business for each. Share the games. Everybody makes more money. More shit gets made. Period. Games will get cheaper. Hardware will get cheaper.
So to wind this conversation down, I am very much excited for what's been announced so far. I'm not saying it's perfect by any stretch, nor are we even close to being done. I'm stoked, man. I am a PSVR 2 day one buyer because of what's been promised already. And from what I've seen so far, they are on the right track to deliver a very solid launch.
I would love to. Okay, for those of you in chat, I would love for you guys all to throw your answers in chat right now. We're at 54 right now, guys. Woo! Thanks again for everybody in chat. Everybody,
Nice.
I would love for you guys to throw your opinions in there. Keep them quick because I want to read them. Are you right now? Are you day one purchase, or are you still on the fence, or right now just not interested? I would love.
We have to wait 30 seconds. So you guys got 30 seconds of airtime while it catches up.
I'll
so I don't know. Jason, like, are you getting it? Do you think you'll be getting it day one? Are you waiting for like to see how the launch plays out, or
have to find money first.
Is there? Okay, so is there?
I have a 0 a month in. Is not really in the books in case something happens. So
money aside, I guess, but even still, like, as of today, like, with what they've shown you so far, like, assuming it's viable, is this a day one purchase for you?
Yeah. Yes. Because of the immersion factor alone that it can offer.
Well, I
and
mean,
and the resolution as well. You know what I mean? I haven't had a headset that is that high end. So for me, that's kind of an easy seller right there.
None of us have, man. None of us have.
Yeah, well, especially at a cheaper price. You know what I mean? Like, that hardware in there is fucking expensive, and people don't realize that. If you were to break it apart individually, it's really expensive. It's a deal, but yeah, I have to find some way to either get in. I don't think there'll be one handed to me by anybody like that. I'm not looking for that either, but I'll find my way, hopefully. Yeah, we don't need to go on finances and stuff like that.
No worries.
If I had it, I would definitely get it for that alone. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I really want to see what's there. Plus, I mean, I love No Man's Sky. I play it on the 5. Seeing the bloom and all the different colors, just the difference in there is fucking beautiful. So to see that in the headset again, I know, I could have gone to PC, but I have like 500 hours in the game, man, and I wasn't about to start over and do that all again.
Chris, I'm assuming you're going to hold off until a few months down the road for the PSVR 2 launch?
Yeah. I saw somebody comment there. They're going to wait for the price to come down to around $75. I think I'm kind of in that same
Good luck
spot.
with it.
Although I think that is something for another episode. People talking about pricing. Get ready to pay for games, because I don't think they're going to be cheap. You want those AAA VR games, you're going to pay AAA prices.
Well, with the Horizon thing you said earlier, the difference in between there, that's a $50 difference. I
Thank
expected
you.
for something
Thank
like
you.
AAA.
I'm glad you revisited that.
but
$50 US, and that's the pack-in price. So it's pretty much probably a full-price game on its own, standalone.
For an 8-hour game. They've already said 8 hours, 10 hours max.
So it's probably 5.
Yeah, right. It's right.
Yeah.
So that's some VR price gouging.
The AAAs are going to be up there, just like Alex or anything else like that, right?
Yep.
They'll go on sale Sony always they make deals with the devs. They always put the stuff on sale. But yeah, I really am excited about this, but I love them, but they fuck this up, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Yes,
Sony.
they're good titles there, but man, like right after this $1,500 price tag on that, they could have slam dunked this shit.
I
Really,
mean,
they
you know,
really could have slam dunked this shit.
like, I guess I know we're kind of circling a little bit, but I just feel like I would rather Sony show less and just show quality than just like kind of like open up the floodgates to like there's some games that they've
It's
shown
just
that
all
I feel like
premature whining. Premature whining. This is all that's happening right now.
Yeah, I mean, I love
disagree.
the games that they put there, but like
Maybe it's the
it's
marketing
not
guy
enough to
in me.
entice. We've been saying that the whole
Maybe it's the marketing guy in me, but it's an optics thing. And one of the biggest problems, we've talked about this in many episodes, that VR has and Sony has had, is managing expectations. And they have to manage expectations. And they have to be very, very careful with that. And obviously part of what they're doing is probably that, like Ryan has constantly said, they're probably trying to keep the hype train in check because they are worried about consoles, and it's just the February release date to me screams trying to like do a soft launch. If I wanted to go out go out and just kind of make I guess I would say that Sony's looking at holiday 2023 as their hard launch.
I would assume so. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
That's when they'll have all consoles. Hopefully shouldn't be a supply issue. Finding a PSVR 2 shouldn't be brutally hard.
We can finally get Skyrim VR for the PSVR 2.
Oh fuck yes, Skyrim. I'm surprised that hasn't been announced.
Yeah, they're
know,
gonna
right?
they'll make us buy that again for the like 15th
and
Yeah.
$80 and $80.
Yeah.
Like don't
Yeah.
kid yourself, guys. We haven't addressed chat though. There was a lot of day ones, not surprising.
A few hold-offs for sure. I saw the chat too. But you're not wrong. A lot of day ones. Obviously, this is the crowd we attract, though. So,
yeah.
Sounds-
I was
sounds-
gonna say the crowd that we attract. Yeah.
no GT7, no buy. I like that. Great tantrum. Yeah, guys. I mean, we should wrap this up here. It's been an hour and a half. I'm gonna just thank the chat once again. I saw up to 62 confirmed viewers. That's huge. That's giant for us, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone of you who kept this chat going. It's been so fun to read. Special shout out to Dark Angel, Salvador, Wonder Rob, and all our Patreon supporters. You guys are helping us keep this whole thing going as we still kind of find our ground going forward with the whole VR Grid channel and whatnot. But all you guys, just watching us, liking us, it matters so much right now to us, just because we are rebuilding this channel, and we plan on being your source for everything VR. And when the PSVR 2 drops, guaranteed, me and Chris will be all over that like no other channel on YouTube. Guaranteed.
Yeah. What's funny, behind the scenes for you guys, one of the things that, like, when Ryan and I were talking about combining, we continually talked about the PSVR 2 launch and just when the PSVR 2 comes out, what can we do as two people versus one? And like one of the things that Ryan and I kind of like, one of our like little dreams that we kind of finally realized was having the Iron Man launch today on the Quest 2. We were able to, like, right embargo, drop a comparison video and a review, which was something that we were kind of like, man, we could just double team it, which sounds a little dirty, but
I'm okay.
you know what? That's the kind of stuff we want to do for the PSVR 2. So it's really fun to kind of talk about stuff, because I know that we'll get to kind of see that through. But Jason, thanks for joining us. We've never done we've never seen live numbers like this. So like, I mean, we have to.
Yeah, it's all you. We have to. You're obviously bringing the crowd here, Jason. So we have to have you back.
It's my foul mouth. That's what it is.
I think I've dropped the most F-bombs than anybody here, but he's bringing in his VR fam. So really appreciate everybody in chat. It's been really fun to read everybody's opinions on there too, and I do agree with, who was it that just said there? Yeah, great tantrum. I agree. GT7 does not go VR. I'm not buying it. Not buying it, and I am going to buy it, but I'm going to complain a lot.
You will. I guarantee he'll complain a lot.
I haven't seen Tantra in a while. Hello, buddy.
Yep.
All right, guys. Should we wrap this up?
I guess.
I wonder if I can do this. All right. I'm going to say.
Hey guys, if you haven't liked the video, we were supposed to say that at the beginning and we didn't. I'm sure you're subscribed if you're here, but like the video, please, and that would be a big help for us. Just kind of like trying to beat down the algorithm. That's the biggest problem since we combined channels. I think the channel had been inactive, and then we kind of threw it into a bit of a tailspin with all the tag changes too. YouTube trying to figure out who we were. So
yeah,
it's just going to take a while, I think, until we can kind of get some consistency, and then because right now when you type in the VR grid, you still come up with Ryan's channel. God damn it!
It's a pretty good channel.
We're gonna have to change the name of that.
He's gonna have to untag himself on every.
We're gonna have to change the name. We'll just change it to like the VR dumping ground or something.
Shughead Gaming.
Yeah, right. Well, I guess it'll still attach itself here, right?
The VR
if you have it, if you still have that in there, it can attach itself here somehow. And that way
we tried it. We tried it. It doesn't work yet. There's no way to do it. But now we're getting off topic. I'm saying goodbye. Later all, Jason, thank you for joining me. Everybody who I already thanked before, thank you one more time. And Chris, I guess I'm stuck with you.
Every Thursday, same bat time, same bat channel. As long as Ryan doesn't bail on us like he did last week. Sorry about that, guys.
It wasn't my fault.
Almost happened again. Almost happened again. But
it didn't.
Big thanks to Ryan's family camp there making this happen today. So we will catch you guys next week. Later, guys.
Say goodbye, Jason.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for coming.